What's up, guys? HockeyTikTockey is back again with an all new video. Today, I'm actually going to be doing letter grades for all 32 NHL teams because today marks the halfway point of the NHL season. As most of the teams have all played at least 40 games, which is unofficially the halfway point of the season. Obviously, 41 is the exact mark, but not every team has played exactly 41. Some have played 42 or so. So anyways, I'm going to go through each division and give letter grades based off of what we've seen so far and see how it runs the course. So I'm ranking this based off of like expectations and what the team has done so far, and I'll sort of highlight some of the highs and lows of what the team has already gone through so far in the year. So we're going to start off with the Metro division in the East, and the first team to be ranked will be the Washington Capitals. They get a big A+ this year. They are truly a resurgent NHL team. I think a lot of people thought that Washington was doomed to kind of fade and basically regress ever since that Stanley Cup win that they got a few years ago, because most of their stars were aging, specifically even Alex Ovechkin. I think a lot of people doubted that he would be able to continue to play at the pace that he had been when he was younger and he was putting up those crazy amount of goals. But lo and behold, the beginning of the season, guys, Alex Ovechkin is on pace to beat Wayne Gretzky's record for the most goals in a single career before he even finishes this season, if he can play at the same pace that he did for the second half of the season that he did for the first. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare going for the rest of the year. But so far, I give Washington Capitals a big A+. On the other side of things, the New York Islanders, I give an F to. They're failing this year. I think they are one of the only teams in the East right now that is out of a playoff spot, and very far out of a playoff spot compared to where they were last year. And they've made some very questionable decisions this year. In fact, I saw a clip the other day that their coach, Patrick Waugh, legendary goalie, he pulled the goalie in their own end. So the New York Islanders had a face-off in their zone, and he, for some reason, decided to pull his goalie and have an extra skater on. I don't know why. I've never seen anybody do this, but the other team just took the puck and shot it right in the net right away because there was no goalie. So that backfired on them. And the Islanders get a big F so far this year. They have not been playing very well, and they are probably doomed to miss the playoffs and fade for the foreseeable future. So that's the Islanders. The other New York team, New York Rangers, I'm also giving a big fat F to, because New York Rangers were one of the only teams from last year that was a solid contender. And going into the beginning of the season, I think a lot of people even predicted the New York Rangers to be in the Stanley Cup final or even win the Stanley Cup outright, based off of the team that they had coming into the season and based off their performance from last year. And yet the New York Rangers have completely changed their roster. They traded away their captain, Jacob Trouba, to Anaheim earlier this year. And before the trade, there was rumors going around that they were already shopping some of their star players like Chris Kreider and Trouba himself. Now I'm hearing rumors about other guys like Mika Zibanejad getting traded, and the whole team just seems to be in an entire mess. And they've slowly fallen out of contention and are probably doomed to miss the playoffs this year, despite the fact that they came in with expectations that they were going to be one of the top teams in the East. And now I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs at all. So they get an F. Another New York area team, New Jersey, I'm going to give a B to, because New Jersey traded for Jacob Markstrom, a goaltender, to sort of solidify that position, because New Jersey had been playing really well the last few seasons up front, but they had a lot of problems stopping the puck because they didn't have a solid goaltender. So this year, with a solid goaltender like Jacob Markstrom, New Jersey seems to be playing a lot better, and they're getting back up into the position that they sort of expected out of themselves when they fell short last year. And I give them a B for that because the reason I only give them a B is that I think a lot of people expected New Jersey to be back in this position with solid goaltending. So since it's not that much of a surprise, I don't value it as high as I would like the Washington Capitals. That's why I give Washington Capitals an A, because they're exceeding the expectation of where they were at the beginning of the season. Next, I got Philadelphia Flyers. I'm just going to give them a C minus. We'll say a C minus because Philadelphia was never slotted or picked to be a top team this year, and they were not last year either. They had exceeded a lot of expectations at the beginning of the year last season, and it kind of made it look like they were turning the page on a rebuild, and they still are in that sort of position where they have a lot of really talented young players like Matvei Michkov and a coach in Tortorella who always asks and demands the best out of his players, and he's able to get a lot more out of guys that you typically don't see with a lot of coaches. So that's why Philadelphia is an interesting one, but I still only give them a C minus because I think if they really wanted to impress some people, they would be back into at least fighting for a wild card spot right now. And halfway into the season, there's still a chance if they played a lot better for the second half, but they're going to have to play a lot better, not just stand the status quo of what they've been doing so far. Next, we've got Carolina Hurricanes. I give them a B+. They're doing exactly what they were expected to do this season, just as they have for the last handful of years, maybe 5 to 10 years. Carolina's always been a contender, and the real judgment for this team will not be whether or not they make the playoffs or what even position they finish by the end of the season. It'll be how they perform in the playoffs and how deep they can make it, if they can even get to the second or third or even the Stanley Cup final. Next, we have Columbus Blue Jackets. I give them a B+ because they dealt with a tragedy in the offseason, losing one of their star players to a very sad and unfortunate accident. And they were never slotted to be a good team to begin with, even if they had Johnny Gaudreau in their lineup. So the fact that they're sniffing a wild card spot right now, that they're close and they haven't fallen to the absolute bottom of the barrel of the league, makes me think that they deserve a B+ for that. And I actually am kind of pulling for the Columbus Blue Jackets this year in the East because of the circumstances of what I mentioned earlier. So Columbus gets a B+. And then finally, the Pittsburgh Penguins. Right now, I have them in as a B, just a solid B. They could potentially turn this B at the midway point in the season to an A if they make the playoffs. That's my reasoning right here, because they are one of the oldest teams in the NHL, and they made some really weird moves just a couple of years ago that seemed like they were still pushing to be a Stanley Cup contender, yet they were signing and trading for really older players that they already had an abundance of. So it's been kind of a strange last few years for the Pittsburgh Penguins, but when you got a guy like Sidney Crosby leading the charge, you never know what could happen. So there you have it, guys. Those are my rankings for the Metro Division. Stay tuned for the next division, and thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.